Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it. Great to be with you on a Tuesday. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel in studio. And that kind of pains me to say, man, I have loved being on the road out at Zipline in Omaha by TD Ameritrade Park. We were out there last Thursday, the last couple of Mondays. We're hunkered down. I am taking a bit of a breather Thursday and Friday for getting ready for Junior State Baseball Tournament. Now, if there's an AD hire, you'll hear from me. But Elijah and Willie J, God bless them, are going to be steering the boat. There's no holes in it. I love it. It's nice. And then we'll blink and it'll be August here. Numbers to get in, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. You can email chris@hailvarsity.com and give us a follow. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, Chris Schmidt, or at Herbalessence for Elijah Herbel. Always follow Hail Varsity at Hail Varsity and ESPN Lincoln at ESPN Lincoln on Twitter. On the docket today, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic will talk where Nebraska's headed with that AD search. Get Mitch's take on the events that have gone on for a little less than a week. Coming up in hour two, Jacob Padilla will be with us. He had a really good sit-down with Coach Dawson. So we'll spend some time on special teams, get Jacob's take on Husker basketball as that schedule is out in full force here for Coach Hoiberg and Nebraska basketball. And a little NBA with Jacob. And then Rick Kaczenski. We'll talk to Coach Kaz, our Tuesday chat with Kaz. So that is the plan. Elijah, what do you know? How are you? Do you need another copper alt?
I wouldn't complain about having one, but I think my waistline could use a break from all those heavy beers. I'll get back to my Busch Light. Okay,
you're fine. You're all good. But yeah, I need to get to the gym or swim or walk or do something. I need to dial back and get into diet mode a little bit here. So I don't have much of an update for you with the athletic director search. Nothing new to pass along other than, the names you hear, Pollard or Ed Stewart. And, I'll ask this to probably Jacob and Mitch, a third name. And I'm just kind of writing it off because I think whenever he's ready to retire from being incredible, he'll do that. And that's John Cook. Okay. And that's a name you've heard and a guy that could totally do the job. And I think he's ready for another title run with the crew that can come back and also this fabulous freshman class. So I think sooner rather than later, John Cook will capture another national championship. And then, man, if you could talk him in to staying around town and leading the Nebraska Athletic Administration, that would be incredible. But he's a guy who's absolutely earned retirement. I don't know Coach Cook well enough to know personality-wise if he's ready to just go kick it in the mountains or if he needs another challenge. I just don't. I know people that are close to him, but he has been the mark of excellence for a lot of years, and coaches, young and old, can absolutely learn from him and take cues in leadership, in development, and winning, right? Training, winning, mindset, all that. So, time will tell with where things go and what's a number that's realistic to get Jamie Pollard out of Iowa State. And you look at that $700,000 to $900,000 window where Pollard's salary kind of hovers. You'd probably need 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, something like that. You'd probably need to double down on that. But if that's the guy you want, who's been really good at Iowa State, and you've seen the football program build and grow, because Pollard's been there about 16 years, I think.
16 on the dot.
On the dot. So he's had to make a couple of football hires, right? And Paul Rhodes looked good for a little while, and then you found Matt Campbell. Okay, so kudos. Both hires were good. One's been great. Ed Stewart, I think dude's amazingly qualified, and I think Ed Stewart would be a nice fit for Nebraska because he gets Nebraska, but Ed don't take no BS. None of these guys do, Pollard, Stewart, or Cook. So there you go. The bigger topic when you bump into people and talk is, what's Scott Frost's safety level like? And I don't think there's any worry for 2021. I think you can do a lot of things, good or bad, but there are ways to show progress. And then we talk 2022. And I think that is kind of your definer. Now, can you get some momentum and reverse course in a good way in 2021? You can say and do a lot on the field for Nebraska football in 2021. You've got the opportunity to do it. You've got the defense coming back to do it. You've got the quarterback coming back to do it. And you have an offensive line that you feel pretty good about. So there's an opportunity there to, all right, if Vegas is saying 6-6 or FPI is saying 6-6, Bill Moose said 8 or 9. You can find 8 or 9 on the schedule. You can find 8 or 9 on the schedule if they play differently. Right. And the thing that's been problematic for Nebraska and Brandon Vogel, if you don't have the Hail Varsity yearbook, get to a Barnes & Noble, check out hailvarsity.com, order a subscription, get the yearbook, get the digital goods along with that print subscription, 8553-HUSKER, make it happen. But really awesome, many stories in the yearbook by Brandon Vogel and the crew. But Vogues asks, a great point or a great question here, and it's the point here. When it comes to Nebraska, this season is about Nebraska. It's about Nebraska not derailing itself. How many times have you heard me say it? I'm probably boring the hell out of you with it, but it's so true. It really is about Nebraska not getting in Nebraska's way, and that comes down to coaching. Can you coach that out of a team that's too mistake prone? And I want to ask this: is there a game on the schedule that is going to be your barometer? And I guess I should start with interest level. I'm not going to make a broad judgment that based on Big Red Blitz attendance that you're checked out of football. I don't think that's ever the case. I do think you are, as a fan, and it's totally okay, in a big-time wait and see. Because the last year has forced you to find something else to do because you were unable to physically go. So what is your attentiveness level? Well, I think you'll be real interested in week 0. How do things go against Illinois? You'll crank back up for Oklahoma, assuming ththings are okay at 3-0. And then you'll make a snap judgment after Oklahoma, where this team's at. And then you have the rest of the season with some really intriguing games, some fun opportunities for Nebraska. So when it comes to circling that one game, what's going to be, is there a one-game barometer for you that will either allow you to make a snap judgment or a season-long judgment based on one game? Now, teams that are good and well-coached and talented, you can stumble. You can get hit in the mouth, but you got to respond, and you need to get better as the year goes on. And you've seen that happen in year 1, and then you've seen the team kind of fade. And then you've seen the team be inconsistent, a win here, a loss there, a win here, a loss there. And as far as stacking 3 wins consecutively, that hasn't happened. That needs to happen this year. So as much as I want to say this Oklahoma game will tell me a lot about Nebraska, and they need to be competitive in it, absolutely. If you get drilled by 17, so be it. Oklahoma's a playoff team, but you better go toe-to-toe with them for 4 quarters. I'm going to go back to Illinois. Honestly, new coaching staff, transition at Illinois. You're the spotlight game in college football to kick things off. You're up in Champaign. You'll have a lot of Nebraska fans up there. To me, if they can go out and just kick ass and maul Illinois and be the more talented team and do what they want to do offensively, get aggressive defensively, that will be my barometer, because it can completely go the other way. You drop that first game, its sky is falling, interest and intensity from the fan base in the season goes back down, not to 0, but it's hovering above. All right, is there a pulse? All right, because you can't start 0-1. You can't start out of the gate like that. That's my honest take. How's the season going to go? How do you look? How prepped are you? How dialed in are you? How good are you going to be week 1? You can get better. You can make a jump week 1 to week 2, totally. You can ramp up momentum-wise and get high level against Oklahoma. But I've got a few games circled. But I'm going to say Illinois. That'll be my barometer. I know it's week 1, but that's gonna really paint the picture for me of how this team can be. Can you get it handled week 1, week 0, out of the gate against this team? And can you hand a beating down? You have the talent to do it. I think the Michigan State game, it's a road game after Oklahoma, Elijah, assuming you go into Oklahoma 3-1. I think the Oklahoma game is very telling as well. And as we get into the rest of the season, I think Michigan at home. There's a lot of candidates. I think Michigan at home's a gettable game and can be big-time momentum for you as you creep into that November finish.
I think Northwestern, the one in between Michigan State and Michigan, that could be your barometer game, because we've seen...
Because it's always, right?
Under Pat Fitzgerald, I mean, we know these are always close games, but we know that Northwestern is coached in a way that they don't beat themselves, and if you make any attempt to beat yourself in the field, they will take advantage of it, and they will beat you. Yes, exactly. They will thank you for making that mistake, allowing them to win the game. So you have to play a clean game against Northwestern. And from what we've seen the past 2-3 years, the talent is there from Nebraska to go win games. Or is it enough talent to go win the Big Ten? Probably not. But it's enough talent to at least make it to a bowl game, to go 6-6, go 500.
It's enough talent to get to a conference title game if Northwestern did 2 of the last 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. And so if you can go out and beat that Northwestern team, it doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. All that matters is the dub at the end of the day. If you can get that win, that means that you have beat a very well-coached and sound Northwestern team. And I think that's the key to getting this thing on the right path, because that's where Nebraska's been shooting themselves in the foot the past couple of years, is special teams, making mistakes, turnovers, all these things that of beating themselves. So if you can go beat Northwestern, I think that just shows you probably didn't beat yourself.
Couple of tweets are in at Schmidt_radio. One from Nick. Nick's asking about Trev Alberts. Is Trev a candidate for AD? Seems like he's been groomed for the position. I look at Trev Alberts this way, and Trev's done a nice job at UNO when it comes to furthering hockey, when it comes to getting basketball to D1. And you have some folks, and I don't know if it's the vocal minority or if it's a larger feel, but you still have the football and wrestling fans that are angry, and they'll never forgive nor forget what happened there. Not just that it happened, but how it happened. So I get that, and that's 10, 11 years ago. I think Trev would be a really good AD. I think Trev might be comfortable having his legacy at UNO. I mean, he's worked hard. He is entrenched up there. It's not that he couldn't do it or wouldn't be a good name, but there's been openings and opportunity for Alberts. I mean, think of the athletic directors Nebraska's been through since Alberts has been at UNO. If he was going to get it, would he have gotten it already, is my question. So Trev might be all good to just kind of do his thing. He's early 50s right now, and just stay at UNO and keep growing that and build that legacy.
Well, wouldn't you? I mean, personally, he's done himself well at UNO. He's kept their athletic department afloat. I think he's got.
I mean, you want to talk about needing like 14 fire engines to put that fire out when he got there?
Exactly. He turned it around, got them financially stable. I think he's got job security because of that. And not to mention, he already has a legacy that he's built at Nebraska through his playing career. So why would you risk going and tarnishing your own legacy at the place where you are a legend?
Do you want to come back and walk into this mess?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the question if you're Trev. Another tweet is in from Ben. Would the installation of Ed Stewart as AD be a stepping stone or him moving on to Big Ten commissioner? Could NU ploy help Nebraska have a coup of the Big Ten? Ben, I'm trying to read through that. You know, I mean, Ed Stewart, one of the reasons he may have been at the Big 12 office as long as he's been there is maybe he's waiting for Bowlesby to retire. If you're deputy commissioner for football operations for a decade plus, I'm sure you've had other offers, and you've been patiently waiting for the guy to move on. I don't know Bowlesby's timeline. But yeah, I don't know if you're asking if Ed Stewart at Nebraska would be a long-term thing. You'd hope it would be. But Ed Stewart's got enough resume to get phone calls from conferences to be a conference commissioner, including the Big 12. Mitch Sherman's next. It's Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Suspending time, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. So you had Chancellor Ronnie Green sat down with the World-Herald. We'll have some excerpts from that. We welcome in Mitch Sherman from The Athletic, at Mitch Sherman on Twitter is where you find him. Mitch, any breaking news today? How are you?
There you are, Chris. All I heard was your music, but I think you asked me how I'm doing. And,
I did, and is there any breaking news today?
It depends on your definition of breaking news. No, I don't. If nothing yet.
No one left for a ranch. No one left for a ranch today.
Well, I think that already happened a few days ago.
I know, no one knew is my point.
Right. No. Everything's intact as we speak.
Well, thanks for spending a few minutes. Your take, your reaction to Moose's departure, and what's his legacy?
Well, it was abrupt. That's the word. That's the word I continue to use. Every time I've written about this, I've just stuck with the word abrupt because it's different than surprising. It's different than unexpected. It's different than shocking. So it's really the only way I can describe it. I didn't expect early last week or even in the middle of last week to be spending my Friday pondering the future of Nebraska athletics and what it meant for football to now have an open AD seat. So from that standpoint, it was surprising. His legacy, you take it, I think, entirely on everything that we can see and everything that is out there in public. And the athletic director's job at the end of the day is to make hires and to move the department forward. His legacy in that way is going to be one that is written still by the success that Scott Frost and Fred Hoiberg have in the years to come. Made a good hire that's already proven to be a winner with Will Bolt. He was in charge of the department when Nebraska broke ground on the facility that you see under construction on the northeast side of Memorial Stadium. It will be an imprint, the home of Nebraska football for decades to come, it would seem, and at the very top of facilities around the country. So if you're the athletic director who gets that thing to happen, then that is important for your legacy. It is a part of a winning formula. So all of those things are positives Bill Moose in what he did. He leaves Nebraska, having brought the people to Lincoln to coach the important teams at the school that I would say the vast majority of the fan base wanted him to hire. There was no question about who Moose was supposed to go get as the football coach. There was no question about who was the top possibility, maybe even the seemingly unattainable candidate to go get as a basketball coach. And he went and got that guy too. So those are the things that you're going to judge an athletic director by at the end of the day. And in all of those areas, he did what people wanted him to do.
Mitch, what was your read on the Moose-Frost relationship before all of these events transpired? Think it was okay? Think it was good?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah, I think it's always been good. I think that, Moose has been an athletic director who has given his coaches the things that they need to succeed. And there was talk with the previous athletic director, Sean Eichhorst, especially with basketball, that he didn't give his coaches always what they needed to succeed. And Moose came in, and that was a directive, I think, from above him, is give these guys the tools and the resources that they need to win. And he did that. And he was a coach's AD. He was there to provide for them. He could be a sounding board, but he let Scott do his job in the 3.5 years that they were together. So as a coach, I think that's the number one thing you can ask for from your boss, is to let him do his job. And he absolutely did that, in addition to providing him with the resources that he needed to win. So he put Scott Frost in a good position all of the time, I would say. I don't know of any instance where Bill Moose didn't put Scott Frost in a favorable position. There, of course, are there are conversations about what Moose didn't do right. Why he didn't get to choose his date, why he didn't get to pick his ending, and a lot of those involve being somewhat absent, not being around things as much as some would hope for an athletic director. But I don't think any of what he did in that area was a setback or made things difficult for Scott Frost. So every observation I had of their relationship, personally and professionally, was one that was solid.
Mitch Sherman's with us from The Athletic, at Mitch Sherman on Twitter is where you follow him. So, Mitch, let's go to the names, and there's been a lot of names out there. And what is your take on a name like Jamie Pollard from Iowa State? What do you know about him? And my question is this, looking at Nebraska and the revolving door that's been the athletic director, what's a number? I'm going to slide across to you, Mitch, if we're role-playing here. It's going to make you feel comfortable. I know Iowa State's always found ways to make really good hires and have good coaches and then have to do it over again, be it coordinator or head coach, in a lot of instances because someone will come pluck them, right? Someone's already got a bigger wallet than whoever's in aim. Yeah. So what's a financial number, and what would make a guy like Jamie Pollard say yes to Nebraska?
Well, I don't know if it's all about money. It's a huge part of it, but I think he would have to, or any sitting athletic director who's in a good spot like he is at Iowa State with a football program that is at about its peak, and new facilities set to open and so much progress made throughout the department in recent years. I mean, he's viewed as a home run hire for whoever would go pluck him from Iowa State. So, I think he would have to look at the situation at Nebraska and get a lot of assurances that it's not going to continue in the same cycle that we've seen. There have been 4 athletic directors hired at Nebraska since Bill Byrne left for Texas A&M. And you can argue that the defining moment for each one of those 4 was firing a football coach. 2 of them fired a football coach a month or a month and a few weeks after they came on board. Tom Osborne as an interim athletic director, who then turned into a full-time AD, and then Bill Moose with Mike Riley, and then the other 2, Sean Eichhorst and who am I missing? The other two
Stevie P.
Steve Peterson. Yes, we mentioned him. They made those decisions to fire coaches a couple years into their tenure. So it's as I wrote on Friday, this whole thing has just been a vicious cycle. And as an outside candidate, if you're looking at Nebraska as a place to go, I would not want to become the next guy in that vicious cycle. So I would think you would need some assurances to why it's going to be different this time. I don't honestly see it. I don't see it with Pollard. I think Nebraska, if it wanted to make a run at him, would certainly offer more money than any AD at the school has earned. So you'd be looking at $1.5 million. Maybe even for a guy like him with that kind of experience and that kind of track record, $1.75, $2 million. That's a lot for an AD. Bill Moose was making $1.15. So that's a pretty big jump, but it might be what it would take to get somebody like that interested. But I really don't see it. Not to say that it's impossible, but I look at his situation right now with Matt Campbell and what they have on the horizon, and it would surprise me if Nebraska was able to make that move.
Talking with Mitch Sherman of The Athletic here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Mitch, do you have a read on what qualities or characteristics Nebraska is looking for in the next AD? I mean, when you talk to fans, it's someone who's going to stick around for a while, someone who's got a connection to the state. But do you know from the athletic department's point of view, are those qualities they're looking for as well, or are they looking for something completely different?
Well, not speaking about with any specific knowledge of. I mean, this is a decision that Ronnie Green and is going to come to. I know Ronnie did meet today. He's going to seek input from people in the athletic department. He did meet today with the head coaches. He met today with senior staff at Nebraska. So he wants to know what people there want, and I do think that's really important, and that's a great first step to building confidence and building trust and having faith from the people who the new AD is going to preside over, that his boss, the chancellor, made this decision with the input of athletic department employees and head coaches in mind. So that's great, and that's not always been something that's been done in the past at Nebraska in hiring an athletic director. So credit to Ronnie Green for doing that. From his perspective, yeah, I mean, I do think that he wants longevity. I don't think they're not going to. Sometimes you just tend to do kind of the opposite thing in hires that you had last time, and we've seen that a lot with the football coaches and the type of coaches who are hired at Nebraska, and there's been some of it with the ADs also, not as much. But I think in this case, after Bill Moose, who came in at 66 years old and is going out at 70, I think this next hire for Nebraska is going to be somebody who can be here for a while. And you never know how long somebody will stay and what's going to come up. But, I think both from an age point of view and also, how you would gauge their potential loyalty to Nebraska, I think both of those things are going to be taken into consideration. And Ronnie, Chancellor Green, wants to hire somebody who can be in Lincoln in charge of the department for more than 3, 4, 5 years, which has kind of been the track record for the last several athletic directors.
Mitch, about 15 seconds, bud. Do you have a timeline with the hire?
Yeah, I think it's going to go into July now. I mean, originally, right at the beginning, I thought there was a chance that it could happen fast, but and this is such an important time. You got name, image, and likeness kicking off on Thursday, so there's urgency from that perspective, but Nebraska's in good position as an athletic department to be able to handle the start of that. And the important thing is to hire the right guy. So I think it's going to be, well into July.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, awesome work. Thanks for your time and input today, bud.
Okay, good to talk to you. Thanks,
right,
Chris.
There he is. Mitch Sherman with us on Hail Varsity.
Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com.
Just try me.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
That's good stuff from Mitch Sherman, his perspective on Jamie Pollard, a name that is out there for the AD opening at Nebraska. Check that out if you want. ESPNLincoln.com, the on-demand section And ESPN Lincoln's Twitter handle will have that full interview with Mitch posted 20 minutes away from Jacob Padilla, his take away on his sit-down on special teams with Coach Dawson, and some Husker Hoops thoughts with Jacob, Coach Rick Kaczenski, coming up in the second hour. 466-3776-800-825-5865 to chime in. And Ronnie Green had an extensive sit-down with the Omaha World-Herald and Sam McEwen. And the right leader. We need the right leader. That's the headline. That's the quote from Ronnie Green. And here's the update per their chat, the World-Herald's chat with Ronnie Green. So Green's leading this search for the new AD, of course. And per the story, he has not interviewed any potential candidates or offered the job to anybody as of today. And from a timeline standpoint, the hiring for the replacement of the Moose, a matter of weeks or by the end of July is kind of that window here. And they've been very confident about saying we're going to hire the right person. I want leadership in place. You can't rush this. What's the old saying? Be quick, but don't hurry. Right? You get a screaming ground ball hit you at third. Be quick, but don't hurry. Get your footwork down, fire that bastard over to first, and make sure it's in time. So you need a strong representative, someone that's a veteran. And the thing about this is money. Let's talk money for a minute. Green's open to in-house candidates while conducting a national search, all qualified and high-talented participants and applicants. And when it comes to salary, Moose was making $1.15. Mitch alluded to it. If we're talking about Pollard, who's, you said 700 yesterday, 700, probably with bonuses, maybe to 900. Like if Iowa State's knocking on a playoff, I'm sure the AD's got a little gravy coming his way. I would think. So right now, Iowa State always, because of their budget, they've always just done more with less when it comes to finding the right talent and hiring within their budget. So an AD is between an AD like Pollard, who's been very successful, has been under $1 million. It's been under 800,000. You have to double that. Would doubling his number be enough to pull him away? Mitch made some great arguments as to why he doesn't see Pollard as the guy, the next guy in Lincoln as athletic director. And it's more than just the money part, like what you've built in 16 years where, dude, Iowa State's on the verge of a Big 12 championship, and they're going to start the season in a top 10 ranking. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you've got Coach Campbell, and you've been able to keep Coach Campbell, which is nuts. Now, his buyout was insane, but still, that's impressive here. So when it comes to salary, Green is quoted to the World-Herald saying, we're willing to pay what the talent we need to bring will require. It's well put. We're willing to pay what the talent we need will require.
So did he just say like a whole bunch of nothing in this interview? Because that's what I'm getting. Oh, no, we haven't interviewed anybody. We haven't offered the job to anybody. We don't have a price range.
What do you believe? I believe they've got a price range. There's got to be some feelers. You had a search for. So technically speaking, if Nebraska's got a search firm for their next AD, then Ronnie's not pulling anyone's chain here. He probably hasn't put a number out there. He probably hasn't interviewed anybody. But doesn't mean a search firm hasn't. You know what? I have had no contact with the Alabama Crimson Tide, says former Miami Dolphins head coach. But I guarantee you the search firm or
his agent did.
or agent or somebody, you're not lying or skirting the truth, because Someone's getting paid to handle all the middleman work.
I mean, this sounds like the politest way of telling the Omaha World-Herald we're not going to tell you anything. That's what this seems like to me.
We'll grant you the interview, but...
Yeah, but you're not going to hear anything. Because I think it'd be ridiculous if you're to day, 4 in this search? I know there's a weekend in there, but if you're to this point and you really haven't reached out to anybody, I think he's careful in saying we haven't interviewed anybody. I think it would be ridiculous to think that they haven't reached out and talked to people, engaged interest, and said this is what we're looking for.
You know who's at least warm to your position weeks before you tell the Moose to pack his office on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Okay? You're not... I pray that you're not going Steve Peterson where it's Saturday night and you don't have anyone locked in for an interview, let alone the next coach. That was 40 days. Moses wandered in the desert for 40 days. The same amount of time it took Nebraska to find Solich's replacement.
Wasn't it 40 years?
I was thinking, okay, wrong Bible story.
Yeah, there was
the Temptations, 40 days.
Jesus, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Sorry.
We're okay.
40 years, 40 days. It felt like 40 years, Elijah.
Well, my favorite soccer team's in the midst of a coaching search, and it's been, I think, 3 months now.
What's Ted Lasso doing?
I mean, I think he's still coaching. What was the team? Was it?
I don't know. I haven't watched season 2 yet.
Is it out yet?
I think June 23rd is when it came out.
Ooh, that was a good first season. Was amazing.
It was good. Back to football.
Yeah, back to football. It's just like, yeah, I'm not taking anything away from this Ronnie Green interview because I don't want to say he's not being truthful, but he is definitely not being forthcoming.
No, you can't spill your beans publicly with, let's see what's happening here. What do you guys think? You got to keep your cards close to the vest while being accessible. You got to dance. You got to dance a little bit. You got to be James Brown a little bit here with the questions. It's a good answer on the salary. You can't scrimp. You can't go cheap. And I'm good with that. The thing that Ronnie wants too is to attract diverse candidates for the job. That's important. I hope we can increase the diversity of our administration team and athletics. So there's that. We'll know here. I would think end of July.
You think that long?
No, I think before next weekend. I'm saying 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
I'm saying next. I have no inside information on this, but you get through the 4th of July. You have a burger, you have a brat, you get a little pool time, you watch some things go bang. You get into next week.
I think
end of next week, maybe.
I mean, we heard Mitch say that Ronnie Green went and met with the coaches today. I don't think you go meet with the coaches unless you have a pretty small short list of guys that you are floating out.
Here's what you're thinking. What's your take?
Exactly.
Objections. What do you think? Can we get your input? We'd love your input.
This is the main guy we got right now. We also have another guy we're talking to. We want to get your opinions on both of them. You don't go to those coaches unless you have a list.
Can you lean on John Cook for us? Everybody, lean on John Cook. Hey, it's a nice office.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Good stuff from Mitch Sherman. We'll check in with Jacob Padilla coming up very shortly. Email chris@hailvarsity.com. Numbers to get in, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Reminder about buckling up. There's over 1,500 crashes each year in Nebraska involving an impaired driver. Driving drunk, buzzed, or high, never acceptable. And law enforcement officers are working every day to stop it before any more people are killed or injured. If you're going to drive, don't drink. If you do drink, designate a sober driver or get a ride share. A DUI costs more than you think. Brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. Elijah's on the phone with somebody. Elijah, who are you talking to? You got a caller here that's, how do I put it, trying to sell you something? Yes, the invisible fence, Elijah Herbel. Bless his heart. Busy night in the world of sports. You've got some NBA action. We'll check in with Jacob Padilla on that. Bucks or Hawks, -6.5. Milwaukee, that's the number. You've got the Clippers. Ty Lue's number in elimination games now 12-2, as Phoenix able to have a shot at closing that thing out, and now the series is at 3-2. There's your update. You can just tell me who it is. Are you setting me up for an ambush here?
No. We do have John on the line, though.
Oh, you are?
No, I'm
John,
not.
what's up? Good to talk with you.
Well, my question is, I think we need to know what happened in the last hiring. Like, do a white paper and look at everybody involved in hiring the athletic director and hiring our coaches since the athletic director came in. But also, your station and other stations have said the regents have been caught blindsided. Why were they caught blindsided? Did they need to go in and do an investigation on their own besides letting the fox take care of the chicken coop?
So you want all hands on deck, John, with a thorough dive into the program and investigation?
Yes, and I would like to know, once they make a decision, what is the salaries, what are the incentives, what are the bonuses?
That'll all be made public. Who do you want as AD, John?
What?
Who do you want as AD?
I don't know. I really don't. I think the things you were talking about, longevity, stability, personality that gets along. I know when we had the athletic director that came in and then left for Texas, he was not very popular with the people. I knew people that were administrators that were retired that volunteered and, worked there with Bill Burns. So I think it's very important that you have the ability not only with the fans, the players, and the coaches. And I want somebody, we had a coach that was really likable but couldn't coach, Bill Riley. Everybody liked him, but he was sort of like Mr. Rogers. So I think compatibility, and I think being able to get along with everybody and to be there.
John, I'm with you. I think that the transparency would be important.
John, be good. Have a good 4th, brother. Thanks for listening.
Hey, you take care.
All right. Jacob Padilla is coming up. Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Hour 2 at Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. We'll check in with Coach Kaczenski here in about 20 minutes. We welcome in with HailVarsity.com and magazine, Jacob Padilla at Jacob Padilla _ on Twitter is where you find him. Jacob, how's the week been? How are you, man? Good to spend some time.
Yeah, good. Just getting back to Omaha from the last day of the Lincoln Summer League. So full month of hoops.
Jacob, do we have you still?
Yeah, you hear me?
Okay, we got you now. You trailed off there, but so a full month of hoops. Some impressions from the Lincoln Summer League before we dive into some Husker talk.
Yeah, this is good to get a feel for a lot of the different Lincoln teams. It's cool that we've got this league now for both the Lincoln teams and area teams like Auburn and Wahoo to come out to, and North Bend Central and teams like that to kind of get a look at some different competition. And today, I think, got to see a game that might be arguably the two best teams in Lincoln this year, with Pius and Southwest facing off, and even without Ryland Smith, who's still out for a couple more weeks. Southwest was able to take Pius right down to the wire, but Pius pulled it out. So again, I think Lincoln basketball has got a chance to put some good competitive teams out there, and with those two probably at the top.
And the Metro really, really well, and you've had Omaha basketball at a certain level, and they've been cutting the nets down at Devaney or PBA. I mean, pick your location for a while when it comes to boys high school basketball. But do you see the Lincoln and region just 50 miles away making a bit of a run? I mean, has the talent level jumped here in the last couple of years?
Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of you don't have guys like Chucky Hepburn and Hunter Salas in the Metro anymore, so it's a little bit of the Metro coming back to the pack a little bit. I mean, the best player in the state's going to be out in Grand Island this year, most likely. So you do have Jason Green at Millard North still, but I think just combination of losing a lot of the talent in this last class, especially that was really good in the Metro. You saw that Millard North, Bellevue West, and Creighton Prep by far the three best teams in the state last year. And they lost a lot of their pieces. So I think Lincoln's definitely making some progress. We're seeing some teams that I think more depth, like Lincoln East, I think, has more depth than they did a year ago. You got some sophomores and juniors that I think are more ready to make an impact at the varsity level than they were a year ago. You've got North Star, who's got some really good young talent that hopefully is kind of getting ready to take a leap like that, and other teams like that. So it's continuing to get better. You've got, again, the Connect Sports Complex is a great place for kids to go and work out and kind of have that easy location. You got guys like Thomas Vilianco and others down there in the city helping kids get better. So I definitely think it's continuing to get better for sure.
Jacob Padilla is with us, HailVarsity.com and magazine. Jacob, we'll get into your sit-down with Coach Dawson and special teams in a moment. I want your read on a name that does come up for the AD opening, and it's more of a wish. Maybe it can be a reality. I don't know. You'd have to talk him into it. But what does how does Athletic Director John Cook sound to you? Is it a pipe dream, or could it be a reality?
I just don't know if he's ready to walk away from coaching, especially with what he's got coming back, the talent he's got coming into the program right now. Obviously, he's still kind of got that fire, I think, within him to coach. So I think ultimately if he decides that's something that he'd be interested in, he'd definitely be well respected around those parts down in Lincoln. I think he'd certainly know a thing or two about leadership. It's just the question of, is he ready to make that transition in his life right now? And I haven't talked to him since the end of the season, so I don't necessarily know where he is in that right now. But I guess I probably would be a little bit surprised if that's the route they end up going. But, I mean, I guess none of us know exactly what's going on in his head right now.
Jacob, let's switch gears and talk special teams. You had a chance to get caught up with Coach Dawson, and what were some things you were interested in finding out, and what was the feel, man? What was the conversation like here as Nebraska's third phase needs to be at an ultra high level this year?
Yeah, just wasn't a whole lot of specifics. He didn't really kind of want to get into naming anybody in particular, or like I said, speaking in specifics. But I think kind of the overall message is they're just kind of really hammering home the fundamentals and starting from that kind of that foundation, building up that foundation where everybody is in the right place. You've got the right players in the right roles, and then hopefully kind of continued emphasis on that will lead to the improvement that they need. We kind of just looking through the numbers, they're really bad across the board for most categories. I think punt return was their best, but that was a limited sample size. Cam Taylor-Britt did well, but didn't get a return many. And almost every other outside of the field goals, they were solid. Obviously, with Big Ten Kicker of the Year, but even that, Connor Colt, a lot of his kicks were short kicks last year. So adding a little bit more range, I think, would make that area of the game even better. And that's kind of, he mentioned, even though we got Connor coming back, still looking at these other guys that push him. They got a lot of other kickers in that room now. And I think he's looking for maybe somebody to take that kickoff job away from Colt. And he mentioned sometimes it's a lot of times they'll find a guy that, whether it be a punter or a guy that's more of a kickoff specialist necessarily than a really accurate field goal kicker. So they're kind of looking at all those different avenues to try to find a solution there, because the kickoff coverage, kickoff themselves is probably one of the biggest areas where they can make a sizable leap that would have a huge impact on the overall record next year.
Jacob, any explanation as to why they were so bad, 99th or worse in 5 of 7 categories? We're talking brutal net field position, bad in kickoff return efficiency, really bad in kickoff efficiency, and when it comes to punting efficiency, they were well above the century mark. And Dawson's a good coach. Okay, he's a really good coach. He's done it at a high level at Boston College. He's been in the NFL. Is it just kind of come down to emphasis from the top? If the players on special teams look at it as an opportunity versus a punishment, is it a mindset thing versus an ability thing?
Well, I think that's part of it, and also it is finding the right guys for the right roles. Like I said, the kickoff, that's not Colt's specialty. He struggles to get it in the end zone, and that's one area. Again, and punting, they struggled last year as a punting unit, and hopefully with Daniel Cherney getting healthy, maybe that's the solution there. You find the right guy, and it makes all the difference. So it starts with the guys you have in those spots. I said Cam Taylor-Britt did pretty well as a punt returner in the limited opportunities that he got, but it wasn't like they blocked super well where he had a lot of fair catches and stuff, where the other team was on him as soon as he caught the ball, so he didn't even get a chance to return. So I think a lot of that is whether the blocking and the coverage, that's all about effort and attention to detail, and maybe that's kind of where the emphasis does come in that you're talking about there. But the other part of it is finding the right returners, finding the right guys in the specialist spots that are able to get the job done the way they want them to.
Jacob Padilla is with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Jacob, with the amount of returning experience the Huskers have on places like the defense, the offensive line, at quarterback, do you think that'll leave openings for some of the guys who've been playing for a couple years on special teams to stay on special teams and keep improving? And then also, do you think it'll give the Husker coaching staff more time and practice to focus on special teams if they don't have to drill in with new guys that are going to be in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I definitely think that, and we've already seen kind of the change they made in spring ball with their practices, where they're leading off with special teams and spending more time on them. And now with Dawson as the coordinator, he was able to be kind of more hands-on during those practice sessions, as opposed to having to kind of relay the information from Jonathan Rutledge last year as an analyst. So they are starting to make some of those changes. We'll see. That's kind of always the trick there is what's a sweet spot between having starters on special teams and not overworking those guys and giving kind of some younger guys a chance to get on the field and contribute. So I think that's something that Dawson mentioned. He's going to continue to see how guys perform throughout fall practices leading into fall camp, kind of see which guys are emerging for those different spots, because they've got a lot of options between kind of the walk-ons that have been here for a couple years that are probably more athletic than your typical walk-on. You've got some veterans, guys like how much does Cam Taylor-Britt play on special teams? He mentioned he doesn't want to come off the field, but the coaches also have to be smart with one of your best players. So that's another conversation. How many of those starting DBs are on special teams full-time? How many of those linebackers are out there versus getting maybe some of the second unit guys there a chance to spell those starters and get out there and kind of gain some experience. So that's all the stuff that Dawson and kind of the guys helping him out will have to sort through before the season kicks off.
Jacob, a thought on Alante Brown. You did a film study on him. Where can he help? What areas can he thrive offensively for Nebraska?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting just kind of looking through it. They used him basically in every different type of way. You saw him lining up on the line of scrimmage as kind of the receiver, off the line of coverage a little bit as the X, and then they put him in the slot or a couple snaps here or there. They used him on a jet sweep, had a nice little run there. He really does have some nice speed, and kind of on one of his big catches, he made a really nice move after the catch to make the first defender miss. So the ability is definitely there. Unfortunately, he did enroll early last year, but obviously the spring was kind of wiped away from him. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't able to get kind of quite the head start that he was hoping for last year. So now that he's got a full season under his belt, hopefully he'll kind of have a better feel for the playbook and kind of his role and what he needs to do when he's out there to see a few more balls come his way, because he's clearly got the athletic ability and the football ability, I think, to be a good part of this receiving core. It's just a matter of how ready is he to be a consistent playmaker right now.
Jacob, before we let you get out of here, I want to ask you about some basketball questions, and the first one being Delano Banton. He was at the NBA Combine. Sounds like he had a pretty good week. Do you have a read on which way he's leaning? I think he is still eligible to come back to Nebraska if he so chooses, correct?
Correct, yeah. He signed with an agent, but it was one of the NCAA certified ones. So if he wants to come back, he's got up until July 7th to make that decision and retain his college eligibility. So I'm still kind of leaning that he does come back, but we're starting to hear a little bit more buzz. It sounds like he performed really well in the pro day they had up there in Chicago. I think he showed some good things, but I don't know that he necessarily killed it in the G League elite camp that was leading into the Combine. He didn't get an invite to the Combine there, which isn't a great sign if you're hoping to get drafted or one of those priority kind of undrafted free agent signings. But I think he is kind of a unique player that is catching people's eyes with what he's doing up there. So I guess I'd still probably lean towards him coming back, but I think he's probably helped himself in terms of what he's shown these scouts this week.
Jacob, your thoughts on the non-conference for Nebraska? You've got NC State. You've got the Halloween exhibition against Colorado. Auburn, a neutral side. Of course, Creighton, third game of the year. I hate it that it's that early. And then, of course, Kansas State. So is Fred's non-conference a good sign that, hey, this team could be pretty good early?
Yeah, it is interesting to see more of those kind of high majors on the non-conference schedule, because outside of those kind of the conference mandated challenges, we haven't seen a whole lot of that in the first couple of years, and that's just kind of with what we've seen, that was probably a wise decision as they try to get this thing off the ground. But I think adding the Kansas State deal was supposed to start last year, so it's good to kind of finally get that in there. Kansas State's on some hard times as well right now. They have not been particularly good. Auburn has, though, and they should be good again next year. So that'll be a really nice test. And Creighton will be young, but they're going to have some talent. So there's enough teams on there to challenge them early and potentially give them some quality wins as we kind of move into the season to look back on.
Jacob Padilla is with us. Does Phoenix get it done tomorrow?
I really hope so. I think
you've been stressing.
It's going to come down. Well, we got AAU starting up next weekend, so I would need to get this series out of the way so I can worry about coaching this weekend, not have to worry about Game 7. But it's going to come down to whether or not Monty, Chris Paul, Devin Booker in particular, are able to kind of see what the Clippers are doing, see where they're going wrong, and make the adjustments. Because there are definitely some things that the Suns have to change. They're kind of falling into some traps and not playing particularly well and not adjusting well to what Tyronn Lue's throwing at them. So if they are able to make kind of that next chess move and come back, review the film, and tweak a few things to kind of get back to how they were playing earlier in the series, then I think they've got a really good chance to close this out. They're 2 for 2 on closing out series on the road so far. So hopefully they're able to keep that kind of trend going here.
Jacob, have a great week. Thanks for the time today. Awesome to hear from you.
Yep, always fun.
Take care. There he is. Jacob Padilla is with us. We'll check in with Coach Kaz next.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. It's time for a Tuesdays with Kaz chat. Rick Kaczenski, coach at Nebraska and Iowa, with us. Kaz, have you loaded up on fireworks yet?
Nah. No fireworks for me, brother. So I'll let somebody else handle that, man. I like I like my fingers and my face. So I stand from a distance, keep my kids at a distance, and let some other clown handle that stuff.
What was the options like in Erie as a youth when it comes to firework choices?
I had a buddy, Mark Fetzner, whose old man sold illegal fireworks out of his garage there on Woodlawn Ave. So,
no.
Yeah, Woodlawn, rough town, rough part of town. But my man, they wouldn't leave. So it got bad around them, but nobody ever messed with the Fetzners. So, I just got a little. And in Pennsylvania, they don't mess around with that stuff back then. You'd go over the Ohio border, get some stuff, but PA, it was pretty much sparklers and bottle rockets. But we went to where'd we go? There's a Catholic college there, Mercyhurst. Yeah, you go sit up on the hill with your girlfriend, watch the works there, or down at the peninsula on the beach. So, always a good time. Lake town, short summer, so always something going on. But yeah, plenty to do. Plenty to do as a youngster in Erie, PA, brother.
M80s, cherry bombs. I mean, I'm sure the Fetchner neighbors had the selection.
Oh yeah, nobody was messing with them though. They also had Rottweilers and guns, so that was a deterrent.
You just said Rottweilers and guns. Oh, I can imagine. What do you need, Kaz? I'll sell you a gross for $100.
God bless them.
Oh, wow. Rick Kaczenski's with us, so we're not going to dive further into 4th of July fair. We will move on. Well, keeping with the fireworks theme, Kaz, Bill Moose, I'm air quoting, "You can't see me," retired. His retirement will be official tomorrow. But a short run as AD at Nebraska, but a pretty memorable run when we talk hires. And let me ask you this. As you look back, and you were part of Nebraska, you're also part of Iowa, and, of course, Notre Dame and South Carolina. What's the, I guess, wish list for a coach when it comes to an athletic director?
Oh, I think, Schmidt, it's all the way around. I mean, unfortunately, I saw it as a player too, and I saw Dick Rosenthal, who was a hoop player at Notre Dame and longtime administrator. He was the AD. He was the AD at Notre Dame for a majority of my career there, and he come out. He was a guy's guy. Cigar smoking on the field. Knew you by name. Just it was understood. Football was the front porch of the program, of the athletic department, and and gave every single coach on all sides what they needed to be successful. And we saw an AD that came in that butted heads with the head coach and cut budgets and made life hard, and all that stuff trickles down. It's no different than any type of business. And the great thing about Iowa, you never had to worry about it. It's one less thing you have to worry about. I mean, it's just hard enough as it is trying to win games, recruit, just function daily when you got 130, 150 guys in your program. You got a lot of stuff going on. You don't need to be looking over your shoulder wondering, if this guy's got your back or not. I'll get Gary Barta. You saw him in our Monday. Him and Kirk met 6 a.m. every Monday. Every Monday brought Starbucks over for Kirk. And, Kirk left, we were abreast of what was going on, what we needed to do. It was a clear vision, everybody rowing in the same place. And that's so we never had to worry about that. I never was worried about the AD or whether there was any support or whether he wanted his guy. He had his guy. His guy was Kirk. All right, and we were Kirk's guys. So you never had to worry about losing your job with Kirk. You did it. You did your job. You were safe. That's all you had to worry about. And that was the great thing. And obviously, when I came to Nebraska, part of it was because Coach Osborne was there. In Bo's contract, you're always looking at head coach's contract. You're also looking at the type of guy the head coach is. I was fortunate that I worked for guys that would help you before they put you on the street. They took a responsibility that they hired you, and they didn't just hire you; they brought your family there too. So I was very fortunate that I worked for guys with scruples that took that into account. I was never, ever, ever worried about losing my job at either place, based on my performance and how the head coaches viewed me. So, obviously Bo and Kirk rock solid contracts, so I felt very safe. And then with Coach Osborne there and the relationship, you saw Coach Osborne. He was on the second floor a lot. You could have a conversation with him. You could talk to him. He was visible. And you don't have to be visible every single day to know that you have support. And Coach Osborne, he wasn't at practice every day. He didn't need to be. He was, we knew he had our back. And I think he was great for Bo because that was one guy that could sit down with Bo and say, hey, maybe we can do this a little bit better. Maybe we could do this a little bit different. And you were going to listen to that guy because of the respect you had for him, his track record, and also the support that he gave you. So it was a completely different feel. And I could tell you, there's no way in hell I would have left Iowa knowing that not only Sean Eichhorst, but any new AD that would be replacing Coach Osborne. So as soon as that happens, man, you're always looking over your shoulder. And when you do that, it never goes well. It just never goes well.
You mentioned and laid out the responsibilities and stresses that are part of coaching. Now you love it, so it's not like you don't understand that it's part of the gig, but there's a laundry list of things you got to do to make sure Saturdays are successful, during the week and then outside of the season, right? Between recruiting and development and your individual times, and then gearing up and having a good focus and ability for Saturday. And then when the chain of command gets ruffled and shaken, I can only imagine that factored into just even more stresses when it's you're in the Big Ten and it feels like it's a 7 to 10 point game every Saturday anyway. And now you got a new boss that you don't know if he's there to support you or if he's there to make a change.
Well, absolutely. And also it's a pretty small fraternity, and it doesn't take long. It doesn't take too many phone calls to coaches around the country to find out what this guy's about. Like, is this a guy's guy? Is this a football guy? Mm-hmm. Or is this a guy that's looking at numbers? Is this a guy that's coming in looking, that more concerned about his legacy than everybody else's? So, mm-hmm. That's it doesn't take long, and it doesn't take long to figure out whether they're on your side or not. And quite frankly, even you can figure that out even before the hire, because at most Power 5 schools, you can't tell me. Well, I can tell you that the head football coach at the Power 5 school, any Power 5 school, is involved with, I wouldn't say involved with the hiring, but made abreast of what's going on. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that. They're not kept in the dark. And we were all, Bo was completely kept in the dark. So, that kind of, we knew what the deal was. And quite frankly, so did the players, man. These guys are, they're educated. They're way more aware than we were back in the, 80s and 90s. These guys, it was like you were an independent contractor on campus now. It's hard to hide things from players anymore, and they see it. So that's the tough part about it. Your job's hard enough, which is fine. I mean, hey, don't feel bad for any coaches. I mean, we're teaching gym class and getting paid handsomely and getting free gear and all. Mm-hmm. Don't ever feel bad for a coach, but you just go and you just like to know that, hey, where you're at, you got people that are rowing the boat in the same direction, and you, instead of trying to find something wrong or trying to find a reason. And I think when you look at Bill Moose's tenure, I think he gave every program everything they needed to be successful. If the programs aren't successful moving forward, it's not Bill Moose. I mean, hell, he hired who everybody wanted, and and he's given them everything they need to be successful. So heck, I would have loved to have the opportunity to work for a guy like that, because he's a guy's guy. I mean, and like I said, you don't have to be visible to feel supported. Especially in college athletics. So I think that guy did a lot for Nebraska, and now it's up to the coaches. But yeah, it's, as a coach, as a player, anytime you have a turnover like that, it's instability is not good for business. And college athletics is big business. It's not good.
Rick Kaczenski's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. More with Kaz coming up. We'll get his take on the opening. Also, what's going to happen here this fall, and that is the prequel to The Sopranos. Big Sopranos guy. Kaz is a big mafia guy. Loves that genre.
Yeah, you be careful with the words. He's a big mafia guy.
He's a big mafia
enthusiast.
We had a mafia segment or show earlier this spring. He loves it, and
I don't think you can call him a mafia guy. I think you have to call him an enthusiast.
I said enthusiast.
Okay.
I said he's a mafia enthusiast. But Kaz fired up. We'll get his take on the young Tony Soprano. You got the new trailer out for the prequel movie, The Many Saints of Newark. And throughout the series with The Sopranos, you had the reference to Dickie Moltisanti. That's Christopher's dad. This kind of dives into that influence. Ray Liotta's in it. So I'm excited to check it out. We'll have some more with Coach Kaczenski on Nebraska, the AD search. Hail Varsity, we're presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
He's in his 30s, but sounds like he was born with a stogie in one hand and a brew in the other.
Now, say my name.
It's Schmitty on Hail Varsity Radio.
I got the body of a taut, preteen Swedish boy.
Rick Kaczenski's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. We're talking transition in the athletic department. Nebraska in search of a new AD as Bill Moose retires tomorrow. And I think you nailed it, Kaz, with the fact that the names that ended up coming to Lincoln were the names that a number of folks, boosters, fans, everyone that cheers for the program wanted. And you've had immediate success with Will Bolton baseball. Got Hoiberg. So I think that year 3 you could see it pop for Husker basketball with the talent they've been bringing in. Football has been close in a lot of games, but hasn't finished. They're needing to have kind of a breakthrough season.
Nobody looks at it that way, as you know, Schmidt. You know, at the end of the season, it's black and white. Yeah, there's you won or you lost, and that's great. I mean, we're talking Nebraska here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baseball. I love Will Bolt. Love his team. I mean, gosh, dang it, love it. I think Fred's a great hire. Who else you going to get better than Fred, right? And I think he's building that thing correctly. But let's be honest, if baseball and basketball doesn't do well, and football is competing for the West and playing in Big Ten championships, everything's okay. And obviously John Cook's going to take care of business like he always does. So, everything's okay in Huskerville. It all comes down to football. When you go down to Tallahassee or Dallas and you got a block end on your chest and it's white and, on a red background, people aren't talking about Nebraska basketball, and I like all college sports. I love Fred, but it comes down to football getting it done, and that's really you got to win football games, man. that's the front porch of your program. That's what people associate Nebraska with. So, and it's not only, it's how you're doing it, even losing, quite frankly, how you lose it. And, and I think that's this is a huge year. And, I'll play conspiracy theorist and get everybody pissed off at me in the athletic department. But Ronnie Green couldn't have the AD that fired Frost, if that happens, be the guy who hires the next coach. But also, I think just the timing of it, I don't understand it. You just leave yourself open for criticism. You leave yourself open for rumors. You leave yourself open for people to be able to throw darts at you. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, look, Bill Moose, it's documented the things that he has said. It didn't sound like a guy that wouldn't be here on June 28th, June 29th,
right,
not being the AD at Nebraska. And this guy here is the AD on a Thursday afternoon, and by Saturday morning he's herding cattle on a ranch in Montana. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, man.
What do you think it was? I don't want to say an incident, but was there a final straw, some way that expedited this thing?
I'm not going to do that to anybody, speculate, because I've been on that end. It's like everything else, you look at a message board and the things that people say about guys, coaches, players that they've never met. I'm not going to speculate on that, quite frankly. But you know what, Schmitty, it's hard not to for everybody when it goes down like that, when it goes down in the middle of summer. And I think it's just human nature. Nobody's thinking that this is a positive, in my opinion, that this happened because of something good behind it. I think everybody's looking at it like, okay, there's something there. People are able to put chinks in your armor then. Well, what's that something? Okay, well, fill in the blanks. And you got a lot of people in the Big Ten probably fill in the blanks. It's real easy because it was, man, people used it against us to trying to recruit kids. You got kids that are committed, and you got coaches from other schools. Hey, man, the guy who recruited you, he's not going to be there. They got a new AD. This AD doesn't want him here. All you got to do is look at the press conference. This AD doesn't like him. This AD wants his guy. That's how it works. So, it just makes it, you just open the door up for a lot of things when it goes down like this. And obviously with Bill Moose saying apparently the right time, I mean, that's a smoke signal there, man. He fired up a flare.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't seem like the type of guy to do that. And let's be honest, once again, all right? I mean, hey, it's Nebraska. If there was an incident, everybody would know. I mean,
small town.
Yeah. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate that because I don't talk to many people there, about football. Got a lot of friends back there. But let me tell everybody I've talked to since last Friday, they got a theory. And none of them are good. None of them are a positive reflection of the people or the program. And that's why it's never good when you have this, especially the way it went down.
Rick Kaczenski's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Kaz, before we go, were you a big Sopranos guy?
Yeah, early on I was broke then. That was when I was GA and had no money. So I think I watched it on those free weekends you get HBO. But
same. I found a neighbor, the other Mike Riley, that we'd grill steaks and I'd go over to his house on Sunday night so I didn't have to get the subscription. But one of my favorite shows, the prequel's coming out here this fall. Is it something that you're interested in?
I think that's a movie, right? Is it a movie?
Yes, it's a movie. It's a movie.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I just, like that, that era, whether it's, late 60s, 70s. I was, matter of fact, was up about 4 a.m. about a week ago, had the old French Connection on. So, that's just, yeah. My daughter, it was funny. I DVR'd it and she thought it had something to do with a French bulldog. So I came upstairs in our bonus room. There's no basements in the South. So, everything's upstairs. You wouldn't like it, Schmidt. It's hard taking chicken wings and beer up the stairs, so I miss my basement, my Smetter built home, that walkout basement.
Look at you shouting out.
Oh, man. My man Smetter. He's the man. That dude's awesome.
Went to high school with him. Was it a good time?
Best guy guy builds and backs it. I mean, that dude was taking care of stuff for us 4 years after we moved in. He was unbelievable. But anyway, so I go, what are you watching? And she's like, is this a show about French bulldogs? I said, no, sweetie. I said, we'll get you. Well, how about we watch Funniest Videos or something?
Yeah.
So, but
you don't need to know about Popeye yet.
yeah. But I'll looking forward. Yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to a little. What's the show Kevin Costner's in here? What's the Yellowstone?
Yes, yeah. I need to start that. I haven't started it yet.
Oh, are you kidding me? You might be the only male in America that hasn't partaken in that. That's a unbelievable show. Yeah. You'll watch about 3 episodes and you'll go get you a sawed-off shotgun, a horse, and want to go buy a place out in Montana. Yeah, it's one of those shows you're like, God, why am I not a rancher?
That's pretty good.
You'll love it. You'll get into that. So, but Sopranos. I could watch any episode, but I'm not one of those. I can't tell you any episode, but if it's on, I'd watch it for sure. But yeah, looking forward to that movie. I saw the trailer of it. I'm liking it.
Kaz, you have a good 4th with the family, brother. We'll get caught up next week. Thanks for the time today.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
Gotta love Kaz, the neighbor that had the illegal fireworks. And thoughts on Bill Moose. We'll wind down a Tuesday next.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at HailVarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time on a Tuesday. Good stuff. Mitch Sherman, Rick Kaczenski, Jacob Padilla. Tomorrow, Gary Barney will join us. We'll also have Phil Steele on, get his prognostication and prediction on Nebraska football. What's he think of the Big Red in 2021? Can find our show 3 different platforms when it comes to the podcast: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. And if you're jumping in on iTunes, give us a review, good, bad, or ugly. Tell us what you think. Love hearing your feedback and your ratings. Keep the tweets and emails coming for interaction. Phone lines open, as always, for you as well with Hail Varsity Radio. So, busy show tomorrow. Good stuff today. And check out that Ronnie Green sit down with the World-Herald if you feel like reading up on where things are at. Loved Mitch Sherman's takes and insight as to the reality of a Jamie Pollard for Nebraska. You want to catch that interview, ESPNLincoln.com, the on-demand section, or Hail Varsity / Hurrdat, the podcast where you can find it, and, of course, the ESPN Twitter feed. So is it wrong for me to fire up street tacos a second straight day? We had great street tacos last night. We caught up with Nitro and Katie, dear friends of mine. We had street tacos and beer last night. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want some more shrimp tacos.
More shrimp tacos. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're going...
That's like the healthier choice, right?
I would agree. See, I always go for the carnitas.
See, I think what you had last night looked good. And let's be honest, dude. It sounds all well and good to make your own, but you can't, for what you spend on street tacos, make it at home.
The question with street tacos is they feel healthier than like a burrito just because it's so much less tortilla. But the question is it actually? It feels fresher too when they get that like onion cilantro on there.
I get a grilled shrimp taco, fish, shrimp, I think that's better. I think the amount of beer I've drank between road shows and the weekend in Iowa is problematic. I can do this fasting diet all day long, but it ain't going to keep leaning me up if I'm crushing beers. So I might have to switch to tequila is what I'm telling you. I'm kidding.
That's your solution. Go to some Michelob Ultras.
Those, I tried.
They're only 95 calories each?
What I need to have
White Claw. Go for the White Claw.
No, punch me in the face if that ever happens. What I need to have happen, I mean, I can drink Corona Premier.
Yeah, but there's less flavor in the Corona Premier.
I know. I need a Modelo or a Dos Equis or a Pacifico. What were the beers we were having last night?
Something Jalisco.
Oh, it's great. They were awesome. And I'm sure they weren't, two carbs or whatever, 2 points off your carb diet.
Estrella Jalisco.
Those were awesome. Those are so good. We need to find those.
I feel like they have them around.
Just get a bucket of them. Pre-show meeting.
Out on the back porch.
Is that a firework? No. A meth lab just exploded behind the fence.
Trailer park. Oh, man. Probably can't make that joke.
It's all right. We'll be back tomorrow. More comedy. Thanks for checking in with Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.